Well. Welcome to the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. It's your boy G. Bush. We got a great show planned for you today. Brown's schedule. I'm going to tell you why. Schedule game is coming out and people going to be looking at schedules all over the place. But I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to pump the brakes on it. The Browns got a crazy schedule. And this might be a little bit of trouble for us if we don't start off fast. I'll explain this all coming up on this episode of The Ultimate Browns. Yes. G. Bush is back live. I know what y'all thinking. Y'all like, G. Bush, I like your show. But I like to get the interaction. I like to be live so we can get our opinion off and we can do that. So today we are back live, man. So make sure you're following us. Make sure you're subscribing to the show and make sure that you are subscribing to the UCSS YouTube channel so you get all of our content, especially here on the Ultimate Browns. Got a great show planned for you today. The Cleveland Browns rookie mini camp is starting today. We have some thoughts about that. There's been some stuff trickling out, and I'll give you some thoughts on what we're looking for in the rookie mini camp and how we can learn from what we learned last year with DeJuan Jones and some of the other guys in mini camp. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. And there was an interesting little bit that we did today. Who's the second best player for the Cleveland Browns? Me, Jay, Adam, the Bull, we went round for round and we talked about who the best player is. There's one stipulation. We're looking for the best player based on today, not the past stuff, not the extra stuff, not the stuff he's done in the past. We're looking for the second best Browns player besides Myles Garrett today. So we'll talk about that. I got a little clip to play for you. And then, of course, we're going to get to what I believe is something that's not being talked about a lot. Browns, it has been verified that your Cleveland Browns have the most difficult schedule in the entire NFL. Don't believe me? Let's take a look at that right now. This is, from the NFL network, NFL.com. 2024 NFL strength of schedule for all 32 teams are set. The Browns and the Ravens are amongst the hardest schedules. The Falcons and the Saints have it the easiest. So let's break this down a little bit. It just gives a little tidbit, a little bit of background with this situation. It says if the Cleveland Browns are going to make it to back-to-back playoff appearances for the first time in 35 years, it's not going to be easy. And that's because they're facing the NFL's most difficult strength of schedule in 2024. The Browns haven't made it into two consecutive playoff appearances since all the way back in 1989, which also happens to be the last time they won the division title. So it's been a long time. Their playoff appearance that year capped a streak of 5 straight postseason berths that ran from 1985 through 1989. The Browns will be looking to end that drought in 2024. But based on this year's strength of schedule, it's not going to be easy. Cleveland has a strength of schedule of 547, which is not only gives them the most difficult schedule for the upcoming season, but it also makes them one of only 2 teams in the NFL, along with the Baltimore Ravens, that will have a strength of schedule above 535. That's a rough one. That's a little rough. I'm not going to lie. When I saw that, I started to think a little bit in terms of, what does that mean for the Browns' chances and what their schedule really looks like. So let's dive into that a little bit here as well. We'll take a look at who the Cleveland Browns have on their schedule. Now, let me pull this up. The strength of schedule. There we go. So when you look at the Browns, they will face the AFC West, the NFC East, and the AFC East, and their normal opponents from the AFC North at home. And they will travel to face teams in the AFC North, AFC West, NFC East AFC South and NFC South. So G. Bush, break that down for us. Don't have us going to look it up. We just want you to hear you say it. So at home, their home games this year, they will have the Bengals at home. They will have the Ravens at home. And, of course, they would have the Pittsburgh Steelers at home because they're in the division. Their other games they will have at home is the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Giants, the Dolphins, and those will be your home games, right? Away, obviously, you have the Bengals, Steelers, Ravens, right? But the other games that they will have away are the Broncos, Commanders, Eagles, Jaguars, Raiders, Saints, to follow it up, right? So take a look at this. When you look at that and you break that down, I always go to the away games because the away games are obviously in the NFL, they're more difficult. You don't have, it was believed that the Browns might potentially get the Eagles in Brazil. Not going to happen. So they'll be on the road in Philly. That's a tough game. The Browns never play well in Denver. I don't care if the backup quarterback is playing. They never play well in Denver. They lost in Denver with Russell Wilson last year. They never play well there. They got Jacksonville, the Raiders, Saints. So actually, to be truthful, they don't have too many tough games I would call tough on the road. Commanders is a game that they should win. Jaguars is, almost a little bit of a coin flip. The Browns did beat the Jaguars at home. The Raiders are a team, that the Browns should beat on the road. The Saints, I think the Browns are better than the Saints. I think the Saints, it's tough to play in the Dome, but those are games that you should be competitive in. Now, when you talk about the home games, we do have them at home, and I think the Browns have a really good home field advantage. Take a look at the games that they do have at home. They have the Chargers. The Chargers had a mini little rebuild, but every time I'm on UCSS, Bull, Jay, everybody loves Harbaugh. Like, everybody feels like he's some sort of soothsayer. Like, he's somebody, he has, like, he's a witch doctor, and he could just turn his teams into good and within a year or two. So, Chargers, but I think you should be able to beat the Chargers, right? You got the Chiefs at home. I think that's a potential primetime game for the Browns. Chiefs at Browns. Last time Patrick Mahomes was here a few years ago, he started his run back then when the Chiefs came to town here, and I think they ran it up pretty good. Kareem Hunt was on that team too. Cowboys at home. That's a difficult game. So Chiefs at home, Cowboys at home is difficult, right? You take a look at it. They got the Dolphins. Dolphins are a playoff team. That's going to be a difficult game. And then you still have the only game I think that may be, a little easier is the Giants. So to round this up, Bengals is a tough game at home. Chiefs is a tough game at home. Cowboys is a tough game at home. Dolphins, tough game at home. Ravens, tough at home. Steelers, tough at home. You got them at home, but I'm going to tell you, there's no cakewalks in that. Away, Bengals is a tough game. Away, Eagles is a tough game. Jaguars will be a tough game on the road. Ravens, Steelers. So when we look at this schedule, and I know the schedule will be coming out a little bit later, you guys can jump in on that. When you look at the schedule, the Browns, the way it's built, they're gonna have to get off to a good start. When you have the most difficult schedule on paper, and you play in the division that you play in today, you got to get off to a good start. You can't play around. I don't care who they got on the schedule. If it's the Giants first, they have to get off to a good start. They cannot be coming out here 2-something, 1-something. These games is going to stack up very, very quickly on you. And when you don't have a clear-cut favorite in the division, you're going to have to play ball. You're going to have to play some football. So, this is the price of being good. Like, when you win, this is the price of you doing business. Like, you're gonna get a more difficult schedule, and you're gonna have to perform. Some of these games are gonna be performance games that you're gonna have to do on national TV. So for me, I look at the strength of schedule and say, hey, it is a thing, but I will give us one reprieve, and this always happens. Whenever we play the schedule game, and when you go next week and we break down the schedule, always remember there's one or two teams on that schedule that is always supposed to be good that is never good. There's going to be one or two teams on the schedule that you thought were going to be awesome, but they turn out to be terrible. But there's going to be teams that you thought were terrible that are going to turn out to be awesome, right? And there's always 2 or 3 injuries that change the complexion of how you're moving. And with that being said, I'm going to throw it to the comment section. Your thoughts. Are you worried about the Cleveland Browns schedule being more difficult? Are you worried about some of the tougher games being stacked in the first part of the schedule? I don't know about you guys. I do not like playing division games that early. It could be a catch-22, right? If you start off and you got 2 division games early in the first 4 games and you mess around and you go 0-2 and you're in the division, you can be in trouble. Or on the other hand, you can be up on some guys, right? And at the end of the schedule, some teams could be injured, some teams can have some things going on, and you kind of got that in your back pocket. Let's get to some of your comments here. Mike J say, "What's up, G Bush, man? I see you, man. What's up, my man? Good morning, well, good evening, brother. I appreciate you, man. We out here doing it. Toughest division in football. It is what it is, Damian. I feel you. You know, we can't do much about that, but we got to get off to a good start, though. Good evening, Brody. Let's rock. We appreciate you, man. Who else is in here? I feel like Watson having his comeback season. I'm going to tell you what. Listen, from the time I spoke to Deshaun Watson, and I only spoke to him briefly, let me tell you this. I think his energy is different. I think his energy is much different. Like, before, he was a little defensive. Before, it was like a situation where, you know, Deshaun was looking, and let's be clear. He was going through a lot, and a lot of people was just jumping on the plate. I'm going to keep it real. Like, you know, when you got that type of stuff going on and your freedom is on the line and you're getting sued and there's a bunch of stuff that's in the media, it's very difficult for you to concentrate, lock down, and just get to it, especially after not playing. But once I saw him and saw his energy is completely different. I think he's now locked and loaded. I'm picking him to have one of his best seasons. I think he's going to have a comeback season. And from talking to people on the team and talking to people behind the scenes, there's no doubt that the team is behind him. So I saw it firsthand. I think he is going to have a comeback season and a bounce back season, and they need one. Jeff Tucker, what's up? With injuries and all the schedules are just so hard to predict. It is. Who would have predicted the Browns would have been able to do what they did last year with all the injuries? What's up, my man? We back at it, man. We back at it. I like doing it live. Sometimes with my schedule, I can't get to it live. I have to pre-post. But I think I like the interaction, and I think this is what makes Ultimate Browns and a lot of stuff we do off UCSS really cool, because we can definitely talk to the people and get y'all's comments. Comeback Player of the Year, I think so. He's definitely on that short list of guys that will be up there. Let's go with the division games and see what we have early. You like that? So Steve, you like the division games early? That's kind of I see where you could say that. Because if you got the division games early, you could kind of jump out to a nice little like head start. Like if you can catch some people slipping, the coaching cliche is the team gets better. The best you get is from week 1 to week 2. And I think that with the Browns defense is always going to be ahead of the offense when you start the season. So defense will be ahead of the offense. And if the defense came out and playing like it did against Joe Burrow at home, I'll take the Browns' chances. Mike J, I hope Watson doesn't have the Cam Newton shoulder problem. I'm just saying, we can't say, don't you say that. Don't you do it. Nah, he good. He good from what I'm hearing. He throwing the rock good. I think Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry would prefer him not to say that. I think they would let him know that, hey man, we don't really we don't want you to come out and say you're gonna be ready. We wanna undersell and over deliver on this one, Deshaun. So We'll get back to some of your questions too. Make sure you guys are checking with us as well. We'll come back and get to the comments. Make sure you put the comments in there, and we will make sure we get those on the show. We're coming up to our first break. When we get back, we are going to talk about this, and I want your thoughts on this. Get them ready. Who is the second best player right now? We're not talking about just, really we're not talking about overall, specifically what they've done in the past. Who is the best guy right now moving? Who's the guy who you would say behind Myles Garrett is the second best player? We'll read your comments, and you'll hear from the panel UCSS and see what some of us thought about that question that was posed to us earlier on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. You're listening to G. Bush in the Ultimate Browns right here on the UCSS Network. Oh, boy, you already know what it is, man. I'm a very competitive person. And we got to talk to you about our people at FanDuel. Now, listen, it's the playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every single game right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's 150 bonus bucks, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. G. Bush is back at it right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Ultimate Cleveland Browns Show. I keep saying it's the same thing. I'm here. We talk about Browns on UCSS, but this is Ultimate Browns all the time. Before we went to break, we talked about his second best player. Well, that was posed to us early on UCSS. Adam the Bull had something funny to say, and your boy Errol Pearl was out of pocket. The guy he named is definitely not the second best player. Shout out to Martin Emerson. I like you. I like your game though. He was definitely not the second best player. But let's see who Adam the Bull thinks is the second best player behind Myles Garrett on the Browns.
So we're taking Myles out. If you want to make the argument for MJ like Earl did,
that's great. Even Earl does not believe that.
But who do you guys believe is the second best player on the Browns? We're going to put a poll in the chat too. Yeah. So make sure you guys chime in.
I think it's easy, guys. It's Denzel Ward. I mean, Denzel Ward is the second best player on the Browns. Had Nick Chubb been healthy, then he'd be I would have argued a year ago that Nick Chubb was the best player on the Browns, even better than Myles Garrett. But I can't argue that now.
So explain why he's not. Because I can't read. I misread the question overnight. I thought it was based on what they've done, not what you're projecting them to do. So the reason Nick Chubb wouldn't be number two
is he's coming off an injury.
Because he's coming off a terrible injury. We don't know what it is. A huge question mark next week.
Right. Right now, if I'm starting a team, Nick Chubb's not going to be as high on my list as he would have been in every other year.
Yeah.
And I love Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb remains my favorite Browns player, but he's not the second best player on the Browns right now. Now, maybe by the end of this year he will be again. It wouldn't surprise me because he's such a stud. But to me, it's Denzel Ward because the Browns have a lot of very good players. Denzel Ward is a superstar. I think it gets understated how good he is.
And just so you want to know, if you want to check out the full clip of that, make sure you check out the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. That clip is up right now. Go over to Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on YouTube. You'll be able to figure out and find out what we had to say about that in totality. But I don't got a problem with Denzel Ward. I think Denzel Ward, the problem with me with Denzel is Denzel going to miss about 4 games a year. That's what it's going to be. I thought he had a nice bounce back here, but we talking about what it is now. I'm almost projecting. And believe it or not, the guy I put in there is JOK. And a lot of people, looked at me like I was crazy when I said JOK. But here's the thing with JOK. Over 100 tackles, right? 20 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. Also 2 interceptions last year. And when you look at a linebacker like JOK, he's the next wave. He's the new guy. He's what they're doing at linebacker right now. He's a 3-down linebacker. Very difficult to find 3-down linebackers in the game. He's a guy that, if you look at his last tape when he talked about what he did against the Houston Texans in that playoff game, that defense did not play very well at all over that side of the ball. And JOK was the most dominant guy on the field. That includes Myles Garrett. And Myles obviously is the defensive player of the year. But one of the things that you saw was the emergence of JOK in this defense, and that's because he's able to utilize his speed and quickness. He's able to understand now how to get around blockers. He's one of the quickest guys in a box in terms of he's playing basketball with these guys. He's giving them crossovers, hesitations, all on the – listen, you can't block him as an offensive guard trying to get to the next level. It's almost impossible to block him. I got him projected as a Pro Bowler this year. I think I have him projected as a top 5 linebacker in the league this coming up next year. And he's the reason why the Browns defense is so good. And one of the reasons why people want guys like that, the Jalen Hurts, the Lamar Jacksons of the world, guys like the Fields. Everybody is a mobile quarterback. Everybody can move in the pocket and create a havoc when it comes to extending plays and doing some of the things that guys are coming out of college. When you got JOK, he's a dude that can track down ball carriers in the open field. He can track down. You can use him as a spy. He listen, and the fact that he was 4th in the league in tackles for loss for me really put me over the top. That, I like to have elite speed at every single level. You got Myles Garrett. That's elite. I see what they're doing in Mike Hall Jr. They're trying to get a guy that's an undersized tackle that has elite speed and elite quickness there. They got JOK with elite speed at the linebacker position. And when you look at it, they got a guy like Denzel Ward, Bull points out, is a guy who can run with anybody. So for me, I picked JOK. But if you watch that clip, go back and watch it. And once again, it's on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Jay Crawford, yes, Jay Crawford, the one and only Jay Crawford, guess who he picked? Deshaun Watson. I said, what? You didn't sign the peace treaty with Deshaun Watson? This is crazy. Go back and watch that clip to see what Jay got to say. But let's get to what you guys' thoughts are. Let's get to what you're talking about. All right, here we go. Where we at? Let me scroll back up and get to a lot of these comments. I want to get as many people as we can in here. My man, what's up, G Bush? Always enjoy your show, the entire UCSS panel. When it comes to football, you're the man. Keep up the great work. Congratulations on the show's 2-year anniversary. George, thank you so much, man. I told you when we talked about it, man. You guys make the thing, man. There was a point in time, ain't nobody gonna tell you this. Is a point in time we didn't know if we was gonna make it. When I signed up to do this show, they said you got 6 months to make something happen. And I quit my job. I quit a bunch of stuff. Like I just, I always wanted to do this full time, and I always wanted to do it at a high level. And I said, if you want to be about something, sometimes you got to make it a hard, tough decision. And I quit everything, joined it, and now we 2 years later because of the people like you support, man. So we appreciate you, man. Jeff Tucker, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you as well. George Alexander has JOK, man. I like that. Chosen one, David Njoku at number 2. I like that too. Jeff, Earl went crazy. Actually, Earl came back and he clarified it. And I think he picked Nick Chubb. I think in the poll, like even though Nick Chubb is hurt, Nick Chubb wins all polls. All polls go to Nick Chubb. We got an Amari Cooper. I like that. Let's see. Hey, Pee Wee's Burnt Pizza says Watson is the number 1 player on the team. Let's see what else we got. Number 2 will be Ward. JOK is not number 2. He needs to do it again. I respect that. He got to do it again. Let's see. His knock is availability. Rob says all aforementioned has missed games. Ward just carrying the injury tag. Let's see. G Bush, is Miles better than Ward at his prospective jobs? Yeah, Miles is better than everybody at their job. If you look at the awards, you take a look at them awards. Miles is better than everybody when it comes to them awards. So, if it was me, I would, I wouldn't be mad if somebody said Chubb. I wouldn't be mad if somebody said Amari Cooper. I mean, he did break the single season game for yards, and I would never thought he would do that. I wouldn't be mad at Watson. I wouldn't be mad at Chubb. If you project it and you think Njoku's going to get back out there, I wouldn't be mad at that either. And by the way, we're not laughing at Martin Emerson. I think Martin Emerson is a borderline Pro Bowl player as well. All right, so let's get to our second break before we talk about the Browns mini camps. And before we get into that, what we're going to do is I got to tell you a little bit about my people at Monopoly. Like I said before, man, competition goes everywhere. And I've been told I'm competitive. I want the Ultimate Browns to be the best show moving. So why wouldn't I be competitive in my gaming too? Right? And my competitive side does love Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one, but two, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part about it is messing with your friends. I can charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly, but I can also rob their vaults of riches for myself, and the leaderboards show who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with your friends and people all around the world in time tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get into the game, join your friends, download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store or Google Play. All right, it's your boy G. Bush back with the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. We over a little over, but we got to get back to it. We got to talk about Browns rookie minicamp. And when you talk about Browns rookie minicamp, you got to do a refresher on some of the names that I think are really names that you definitely need to know about, right? You got Mike Hall Jr. obviously is the second round pick number 54 from Ohio State. You definitely have Zach Zenner round 3, pick number 85 out of Michigan. Those are the two guys with the names, right? But you forgot, you do have Jamari Thrash, you have Miles Harden, you have Jawan Briggs, and you also have Nathaniel Watson. So all those guys are rocking and rolling right now in rookie mini camps for the Cleveland Browns. And I was asked about this earlier. We talked about it on the show. Who do you expect to have a rookie mini camp that you might hear something, hear about something? And I said, the only guy that you're going to hear something from in rookie mini camps is maybe Miles Harden and Jamari Thrash. And the reason why you not going to hear much about Mike Hall Jr. or Zach Zenner or even Nathaniel Watson, right? Or Jawan Briggs. Those guys are in the front seven. They don't have pads on. They're not going to be tackling people. They're not going to have that much competition. But when you take a look at Jamari Thrash and Miles Harden, you're going to find out that they're going to be out there moving around. They're going to get plenty of one-on-ones in terms of 7-on-7. They're going to be able to do and throw the football. And you can see, hey, I like Jamari Thrash, how he gets in and out of his breaks. Oh, Miles Harden, I really like him in man coverage. I really like how he turns his hips and moves when, accelerating, right? You get an opportunity to see one-on-ones with them. And rookie minicamp is a bunch of one-on-one stuff that you won't see from the guys up front. I kind of teased this. Just remember, last year, DeJuan Jones was a guy that, guess what? People thought was not going to be one of those guys. He thought DeJuan Jones was out of shape. DeJuan Jones was throwing up at practice. DeJuan Jones was not ready to go. People questioned his maturity. And I was one of the dudes that said, don't pay no attention to none of that. Because when you're at rookie minicamp, people don't realize that these guys are taking all the reps. We used to have this in college. All the freshmen used to come in. All the freshmen used to come in early. All the upperclassmen used to come in 2 or 3 weeks later. Or not 2 weeks, but they would come in like a week later. And so you would be there out there in shorts in the middle of a field, and your draft class, your recruiting class might be like 12 people. Now, I remember we had a really big recruiting class, 21, but there was only like 3 defensive linemen. So we ran a 3-4. So all three of us was just up there hitting the sled and running down 10 yards and coming back, getting in another stance. And I'm like, where's these breaks at? Ain't no breaks. Your coach is just looking directly at you. You can't hide nowhere. If you mess something up, you got to come back and redo it. So it's a conditioning thing, man. Like, offensive linemen don't be taking reps back to back. They got the first unit and the second unit. You don't be doing all that. These dudes be out here like you get a little break. Taking all them reps in that sun, anybody will be tired. So DeJuan Jones was getting that work last year. He was the only tackle, and he was just gassed, right? Big fella was gassed. So to me, when you ask me who you looking to see something from, to me, I think it's very evident. I think the guy that you probably gonna see something from is Jamari Thrash. He's 5th round pick, 156 pick. I think he'll pop out a little bit. I think he's gonna stand out a little bit because I think he can catch the football. I think he can. I think he has a good ability to get in and out of his cuts, and I think he has that speed that they was looking for. So don't look too much into the situation with trying to figure out what they're going to look like in rookie minicamp. That's something that you're not going to be able to glean too much from that. I'd wait till at least first week or 2 days to start even looking to see where these guys is at, because you don't know, you're not even going to know the pecking order of where guys is at when it comes to that. So let's get to your comments right here really quickly. Let's see. Who will be throwing the ball at minicamp without DTR? They got a bunch of camp arms. Like, they'll sign like some guys, like undrafted free agents, or guys that they'll sign for camp. Specifically, I know Jameis Winston and a lot of those guys won't be there. They'll sign some undrafted guys or some guys that are trying to get a look to throw them the football. And Scott, I do agree. He has more heart than Anthony Schwartz. He's way more polished than Anthony Schwartz. I think Anthony Schwartz was like you can start to see where we at now. Guys like Anthony Schwartz they're not trying guys out like that. Anthony Schwartz a couple of years ago just goes to show you how good this roster is. Guys like Anthony Schwartz wouldn't even have been drafted or brought in because they wouldn't make the team. I think now you're starting to see the levels of what they're trying to do. Guys right now are depth pieces, and it's going to be pretty difficult for guys to just come in here and make the roster, right? So for me, I think he's a much more polished receiver than Anthony Schwartz, who was a flyer. I think, there's a lot of guys coming up. Now, there is, we talked about it. Mike Hall is definitely a junior, is an upgrade from Siaki Ika, plays 2 different positions. So now you're going to see some camp battles, and I'm interested in what we're going to get into as these camp battles start, because I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be some guys that's going to be fighting for some roster positions, because the Browns pretty much, if they wanted to put a 53 out right now, they probably could. Let's see. Our rookies better hope they can learn fast to perform. You're right. You're right, KR. I'll keep it real. It's going to be an uphill battle. Some of these dudes, it may be 2 of these dudes that make the team. 3. I think Hall, Zinner, and Thrash is safe. The rest of them, we don't know. 110 people in here. Before you get out of here, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't forget, coming back Monday, we back at it again. So 5:00. We'll be back at it again. Make sure you guys check that out. We got a lot of interesting stuff. The schedule stuff will be out. Make sure you all over Ultimate Browns. We're going to be breaking it down better than anybody. We're going to get you some guys. You might see Quincy. You might see Tyvis on the show next week. So make sure that you keep it locked right here, so we can everything Browns coming up. You ready to go? With that being said, it's the quickest 30 minutes. I gave y'all bonus time today. I gave y'all bonus minutes. It's the quickest 30 minutes in all the sports. And you know what I do. You see the shop back there. Make sure you understand. I might be anywhere, internet, TV, radio, but the quickest way to find your boy G. Bush is to make sure you listen for them Clippers. It's your boy G. Bush. Have a great weekend. Stay safe and go Browns.